Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me today. My name is Lily Anspaugh. I'm the owner and founder of the Uri Group, where our mission is simple but ambitious. We want to help you demystify your journey towards operational excellence. We really specialize in working with leaders, owner-operators, and founders who want to grow their businesses with strong people-first operational strategies. What we do is we simplify leading models so that you can spend less time searching for the next big idea and more time tapping into the full potential of your people. We know that you are focused on driving performance, that you want to optimize your processes, and you want to reinforce your purpose along the way. Today, I have the opportunity to talk with you about an idea that I think could change how you approach your strategy towards operational excellence. And that is why systems design is the foundation of your operational excellence strategies, or it should be if it's not already. Because here's the truth. Without the right systems in place, even the most brilliant strategies and well-trained teams will eventually fail. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Over the next 15 minutes, I want to show you a few things. The first one is that a well-designed system can actually turn your lofty goals, your highest ambitions, into daily reality. Also, I want to show you why investing in a system early can save you millions in rework and frustration. And finally, what simple steps that you can take right away to start building or strengthening the systems that you have in place. My hope is that you're going to walk away from this talk not just informed, but inspired to look beyond quick fixes or one-off training programs, and instead focus on the deeper structures that make success repeatable. And in fact, I think that can make success inevitable. So let's explore how rethinking your systems can transform the way that you lead, the way that your teams operate, and ultimately how your organization thrives. All right, let's take a look at some hard statistics here, which I think reveal a pretty harsh truth. Every year, companies pour billions into leadership training, process improvement, and cultural change initiatives. In fact, $370 billion worldwide on leadership development alone last year. And if you look at these statistics, between 2020 and 2023, the training expenditures in billions of dollars increased all the way from 83.5 to 101.8. And also the training staff payroll is a significant chunk of the budgets of US companies. And despite these staggering investments, the results often fall short. Why? Because we've spent time trying to change behaviors without changing the systems that drive them. It's like trying to grow a tree without tending to the soil. It doesn't matter how much sunlight or water you're going to give it. If the roots can't take hold, nothing's going to flourish. And I think it's the same with all of these initiatives in our organization. Today, I'm going to show you why systems design isn't just important. It's the actual foundation of operational excellence. And why, when you weave it into your strategy from the very beginning, it has the power to save millions, transform cultures, and create lasting impact. Okay, well, to understand how a system supports strategy and drives behavior, let's use a metaphor. I really like the spider's web for this. A spider's web might look delicate, but each thread is carefully engineered. If you remove a single strand, the structure weakens. And it's really the same in your organization. Your strategy is the frame, and each system, whether it be for communication, goal setting, accountability, leadership development, any one of them, it acts as an interconnected thread. If any part is misaligned or broken, the entire web will begin to sag. And the beauty of a well-crafted system is that it can be the lever you pull when results aren't matching your expectations. So, instead of blaming your people or dumping more money into one-off trainings, you go back to the web. You examine each thread and you adjust accordingly. There's so many things that could be going wrong. Is the accountability mechanism unclear? Maybe the metrics aren't aligned with the strategy and they need to be reworked. Is the feedback loop missing? By making any one of these tweaks, you will restore the integrity to the structure. That way you can ensure that your teams can actually execute your vision. It really shouldn't be a mystery about how to get there. All right, so do you like the spiderweb metaphor? I want to give you a couple examples of organizations that I've seen and worked with and kind of illustrate how this all comes together so that you can really sink your teeth into it and understand. So, one in particular was a very large global tech company that prided itself in innovation and collaboration. And they didn't just talk about it, they really, really emphasized it. The words were printed in large bold letters on their website. It was in their mission statement. All the employees had it on their badge, in their collateral that they were working with. It definitely was front and center in everybody's mind. And from the outside looking in, those artifacts that we saw everywhere really indicated that they were committed to it. And on top of that, they worked hard to reinforce it, right? There was a particular time, about a year and a half, where they invested a fortune in all this leadership training that really supported it. So they had workshops, they had seminars, they had team building events, and all of them were very participative and active. Managers were taught active listening. They were taught cross-functional teamwork and inclusive decision making, and they role played these things, and everyone left inspired, really brimming with ideas, eager to put this into their work, and they felt really, really great about the investment that they did in this training. But I'll tell you what happened. 6 months later, and you've probably experienced this too, rather than excitement around the increased collaboration and innovation that they saw, you heard a lot of managers murmuring that, man, nothing sustains around here. And a lot of employees were back to the siloed thinking. They were back to their old habits of top-down decision making. And this probably sounds familiar to you, right? It happens all the time. Their strategy included innovation and collaboration as core values, but there was no designed system to actually cascade those values into their daily work. So meeting structures didn't require cross-functional input. Performance metrics still rewarded individual achievement and didn't have any space to notate or even reward team results. And frontline employees, like they often do, never hear about why collaboration is important. Why does it matter to the big picture? And how does it even happen to help them get their work done every day, right? So without a system to align these leadership behaviors with the organization's strategy, all the old habits returned. And the result was continued project delays, missed opportunities, and a culture of disillusionment. And I see this happen with organizations who have great lofty ideas. So many times they inadvertently end up with this disillusionment. This, oh, here we go, a flavor of the month again, where our leadership team's on a kick about something new. And so their web that they were trying to build had some really great shining threads, right? But the rest of them were either broken or never existed, which caused the whole structure to kind of really sag under the weight of day-to-day demands. Okay, so let's switch from leadership to customer service, where misaligned systems can quietly drain your bottom line. Picture a hospitality chain that prides itself on personalized guest experiences. Their marketing emphasizes warmth and care, and they hire people with friendly personalities. Yet from location to location, the guest experience varies wildly. Some employees deliver five-star treatment, while others seem totally disengaged. And the difference isn't the employees' attitudes, it was the system supporting them. In the underperforming locations, there were no regular check-ins or real-time feedback loops for staff. In high-performing sites, managers held daily 5-minute huddles to discuss guest feedback, recognize positive actions on the spot, and they had an escalation path for those unusual issues that employees didn't know how to handle on their own. By systematically embedding their strategic vision for exceptional service into daily routines, the chain created consistent behaviors. Employees knew exactly how to deliver great service and why it mattered. They were part of a web that connected their actions to the organization's overarching strategy. This led to higher customer satisfaction, repeat business, and a team that not only felt proud to work there, but knew what it was required of them to do a good job at work. Okay, so now that we kind of understand the spider web metaphor, and how systems are an interconnected web holding our strategy up. Let's talk about how to build those interconnected threads. I really tend to favor the Shingo Systems Design Framework because when I heard it and when I learned about it, it really brought this whole concept to life for me and made it applicable and something that I could do. And in the Shingo Design Framework, we are reminded that systems exist primarily to align behaviors with an organization's purpose and principle, right? And so I want to share with you a simplified approach, and it's 4 simple steps, but they are critical. So the first thing that you want to do is really start with the principle or the strategic goal. What behavior are you looking for? Are you looking for collaboration? Do you want exceptional service? Maybe it's innovation. Whatever it is, you have to pinpoint the exact behavior and outcome that you really are looking for. And then you have to name it and share it and explain it to everybody. And once you've got that created, then you work backwards and you design the supporting processes. So think of these as the scaffolding that drives behaviors. For collaboration, it could be structured cross-functional planning sessions. For service, maybe it's a daily huddle and an immediate feedback loop. So oftentimes we want to collect data at the end of the week or at the end of the month, or worse yet, at the end of a quarter. And by the time you've collected that data to try to change the behaviors, it's too late. It's ancient history and we're on to new problems and new issues. So make sure that there's an immediate feedback loop. Very critical. All right, and then we want to create meaningful measures. Now, metrics should measure behaviors in addition to outcomes. So often we just focus on those outcomes, and it's difficult when you first try to identify and measure behaviors, but once you experiment with it, you'll get the hang of it and you'll walk your way to what works for you. So maybe you'll measure how many cross-functional teams met this week. That's a behavior, right? How quickly were guest complaints resolved? That's a traditional metric. And both of these together clarify whether the system is going to be working. All right. And then once you have those in place, you really do have to set up a system of accountability. And I think it's really critical to remember that accountability is not about blame. It's not about finding fault. It's not about pointing a finger. It's really about ownership. You need to outline who owns each process, how the issues get escalated, and how progress is going to be reported and in what frequency. Accountability is not blame. It's about clarity and consistency. And everybody wants clarity and consistency. And don't forget your strategic intent needs to be woven into each step. If your principle is innovation, for instance, the system should be rewarding creative problem solving at every level of the organization. Not at your mid-level manager, not in your C-suite, but even on your front lines. That way you can ensure that your strategy is really felt on the front lines and not just discussed in board meetings. Okay, now that you have a few steps that you can understand how to build or how to even audit the current systems that you have, I want to talk about how a well-designed system, much like that spider web we talked about, really does create resilience in your organization. It allows your organization to adapt and change without losing sight of the strategy. And I think this is especially critical in today's fast-paced environment. New competitors emerge overnight out of nowhere, and customer expectations are shifting on a dime. Research shows that 70% of workplace learning is forgotten within 24 hours if it isn't applied in real scenarios. Just think about that. 70% is just gone. So if you remember my beginning slides when I talked about globally $370 billion in leadership training alone, 30% return on investment, I don't think that's really good. And so if you can apply these system design tools, then you're going to be able to convert that training from a fleeting idea into a sustainable habit. And when behaviors become habits and habits become culture, then you actually have a competitive advantage that's incredibly hard for competitors to replicate. Think about it. Your competition might copy your product or service, but they can never copy a deeply ingrained system that aligns everyone towards their shared goal. That level of alignment It's rare and powerful. All right, so what does this all mean to you and your organization? Let's try to wrap it up with a few calls to action. And the first one is that we want to recognize that no matter how brilliant your strategy is, and even if it's communicated really well, it needs the right system to carry it from the boardroom to every department. Without that system, you're relying on hope and heroics. Second, really adopt that mindset that systems aren't rigid. Don't put it in place and then when it doesn't work, point the finger and say, look, this whole systems design thing is not right. It's actually the opposite. When you have a well-designed system, it's living and adaptable. Just like a spider's web, you can reinforce a weak strand. You can remove a damaged part or spin new threads as your company and as the market evolves. Third, focus on measuring behaviors, not just outcomes. We want to improve customer satisfaction. Track the actions that lead to satisfaction, such as follow-up calls or immediate response times. Trying to foster collaboration. Measure the frequency and effectiveness of cross-departmental brainstorming sessions. And finally, ask yourself and your team the hard questions. What threads in your organization's web are already broken? What ones are missing? Does your system support the behaviors you claim to value? Or are there hidden misalignments? So many times we can be really confident in our culture and really confident in our values and miss something that's right in front of us. So how will you adjust or reinforce the web when you see things slipping? If your answer to these questions is unclear, consider this your wake-up call. Excellence isn't an accident. It's a choice. It's a discipline. It's the intentional design of systems to support your strategy, engage your people, and create consistent, remarkable outcomes. We often chase those quick fixes. We want another training workshop. We want it redesigned and re-implemented. We need another motivational campaign from our communications department. And then we're disappointed when the behaviors revert back to their old patterns. But the secret really does lie in building a web of systems that makes excellence inevitable. What could your organization achieve if your systems worked as hard as your people do? And we know they're working hard. The answer just isn't better training or bigger budgets. It's about ensuring that your strategy, systems, and culture form an unbreakable web that supports transformation, delivers results, and adapts with you as you and your people grow. Remember, excellence isn't an accident. It's designed. Better systems build better futures. I hope that everything I shared with you today was enlightening, inspiring, and that you're walking away with a few concrete actions that you can take to make a tweak or an adjustment to just even one system in your organization, and then see what results that you get. Thank you so much for spending time with me, and I hope that today's talk was helpful.